All right, in making this smiling emoji, the first thing we got to make sure is that it's linked to our style sheet, and it is. And now remember, as we do our divisions, we want to make sure that everything that we want inside those divisions is inside our opening tag and our closing tag. And so I can tell that my big division, which is my big circle, even though it's called square, it's a circle, is this division is in, this division is in, and this division is inside my big one, based off of the highlighted points that I have here. So I know that on this square, now when I look at it, division class square, so now I go to my style sheet and I look for the dot notation of square. So I go on to here, and this is it. And so this is saying my height is 500 pixels, like that. My width is 500, back and forth. My background color is yellow, and my border radius is 50%, which makes it a full circle. All right, so that is what that is. And then you go back here, and then within this, if I click here, now just one circle, so nothing should be inside this circle. And when I click on it, back and forth here, as I click, it kind of has a blue outline on it, so I can tell that's what it is that I'm talking about. And so I go to my style sheet, and I find the circle, and right there it is. All right, and so my height is 75, my width is 50, my background color is black, my border radius is 50%. The reason it's an oval is because it's taller than it is wider. Now, when I float it to the left, I'm floating it so that way it can move within the circle. If I didn't float it, it would stay in that stationary part. But now that it's floated, it's kind of like on top of the circle. So now I'm able to move it. So when I float it, whether it's left or right, doesn't matter which way you float it, now I can mess with the margin specifically of it. So my margin on the top is 150. But if I took it apart, took it away, and I had only 10, so there's just a little bit of space there. If I had 0, there's no space. If I did 200, it brings it way down, and you can see the mouth is moving down, and we'll see that in a little later. All right, but if we keep it at 150, it's right where I want it. The margin to the left, because I floated to the left, I want to keep my margin on the left as well. And so if I had this be basically 0, it's going to be all the way over. So I want it that's point, and I figured it out to be about 150. Looking at circle 2 is within the square, or within my main picture. Circle 2 here is right next to this circle, and it's on its own, so it is just in the main one. So I go to circle 2, and you can see it's the same exact thing as circle 1. So if I look up here, the same thing down here. The difference is I floated it to the right just so that I could start it from the right. I could still float it to the left. And so if I switch this and I floated it to the left, I would just have to make my margin from the left. And then I would make it whatever I wanted it to be. So maybe it would be 50 or 100. Okay, so I can definitely do that as well. You can do either one. Like I said, as long as you float it, it stays on top of the picture, so we're able to maneuver it a little better. All right, and this, when we move it to the right, like I had it, it goes back to where I want it. All right, so like you can see, you can do it either one. Okay, now we get to the mouth here, and now the mouth, I want it underneath my circles, so I put my mouth underneath the circles. All right, so this one is layered, this one is layered, and this one is on a different layer as well. So I come to the mouth, and I say, now in order to get a half circle, it's pretty easy. You just do the height, the width of your circle, okay? And now your border radius, instead of everything being 50%, you want some of it being 0 and some of it being 100. All right, so if I did it this way, if I wanted my circle to look differently, I could do it like this and make this one 100, and now it's looking sideways. Okay, my half circle is sideways. If I put 100 here and I take this one away, now it gives me that shape. So it's basically where I want it to be 0 versus 100. And the way I want it is like that. Okay, so the top left and the top right, I both want at 0. And then I want these to be 50. All right, or I mean 100 pixels. Okay, so now I want it to be a black color. So there we go. Now this is where I am putting my placing my mouth. So I go margin from the top is 100 pixels because it's the next one onto the eyes. So I'm only going down. If I had it at 0, because like I said, it's underneath the eyes, it's going to go right up to the eyes. So if I put it at 100, oops, 100 pixels, it's going to give me that spot that I want. Okay, and then I float it left, and then my margin on my left, I figured out to be 150. Right, if it was just 50, it would be off to the side. 150 is right in the middle. Right? Now, here's the next part, and we say the teeth. Now, I want the teeth inside the mouth, so it has to be inside the division tag. So you can see here's the mouth division tag, and inside of it is the teeth. So I am good. Okay. Now we come to the teeth, and it's very similar to the mouth. The difference is I want the width to be a lot wider than the height. So the width is 200, the height is only 30. So that's why it gives me that nice straight line below for the teeth. Okay, now the radius, I did 50 pixels instead of 100 pixels so that it's not a full curve, it's just kind of curved a little bit. And then the margin from the top, just to get that little black space, I did 5. Margin on the right, I did 5, and the margin on the left, I did 5. And so when I floated it to the left, it's floating inside this black mouth. All right. So when I'm floating it to the left, the reason why it's only 5 pixels is because it's starting in this corner right here. All right, and that's about it. Right, and so you can do a lot with margins, with floating, with divisions. This is just kind of show you what you can all do